The dual control model of sexual response presumes that separate and relatively independent excitatory and inhibitory sexual systems exist within the central nervous system, and that it is the balance between these two systems that determines whether a sexual response occurs in any particular situation. The sexual excitatory system, or in short, SES, is triggered by sexual cues. Anything that you see, hear, smell, touch, taste, or imagine that you might find sexy or a turn-on. It is functioning at a low level all the time, everywhere, even now while watching this video. On the other side, the sexual inhibition system, or in short, CIS, is triggered by potentially threatening, risky, or dangerous stimuli, either physical, emotional, or social threats that would turn you off. The system is not just one big turn on and off switch that determines that now you are aroused, but a dynamic mix of excitatory and inhibitory processes, where the outcome of becoming aroused is dependent on the interplay between turning on the ons and turning off the offs. Another important message of the dual control model is that people vary in their propensities for sexual excitation and inhibition. To measure individual differences, questionnaires have been developed that were partly inspired by findings from focus group studies. In these focus groups, people shared information on turn-ons and turn-offs based on their own experiences or those of others. The scales that emerged during the research all show a close to normal distribution of scores. This finding supports the idea that the middle range of each scale reflects typical adaptive response tendencies, with the high and low ends of each scale being less common and also associated with certain risks. For example, individuals with high inhibition scores are more vulnerable to sexual problems such as sexual arousal problems or erectile dysfunction. And those with low inhibition, possibly combined with high excitation, are more likely to take sexual risks. The model was originally introduced with the goal to help us better understand the determinants of sexual risk-taking and sexual dysfunction, but it is now increasingly applied to other topics too, including hypersexuality, sexual aggression, and asexuality. So the whole system that determines whether a sexual response occurs in any particular situation depends on the dynamics between the separate and relatively independent excitatory and inhibitory sexual systems. The question of their origin remains to be answered. How important are biological and cultural factors? How stable are they? Or if learning is involved, at what stage are traits established? The model does show that we are all unique as individuals, with a high variety in how easily we are turned off or turned on.